Hey my friend, I hope your week is going well. This week I'm going to be doing something a little special. I got the opportunity recently to speak with a national business fraternity, Delta Sigma Pi. They asked me to speak for them at Missouri State University. And these are young people, right, that are getting ready to go into the business world or at least have some interest in business. And so I'm thinking, what are some things, some little bits of wisdom that I could impart to them that they would be able to take with them? And what I found after reviewing this footage is that these three things that I speak to them about are really things that may seem simple, but they are things that are simple to understand, but not always easy to execute. They may be things that you may yourself know, but not be doing. And that's really the litmus test, is are you doing these things? So that's the special video today. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you take these three things and run with them and you apply them to your life. Have a great week this week, and we'll talk to you next time.
It is great to meet everyone today. Drew mentioned that everybody looked nice, and I can honestly say I've been speaking since I have been 19 roughly, and this is probably the best looking group of people that I've spoken to. So I hope you are as smart as you are sharply dressed. So what I want to talk to you all about today is something that if your grandpa was in business or if he was a business professional, these are things that very simply that he might have told you to kind of save you some time. When I started my business, I knew very little and I thought I knew everything. And that's kind of a dangerous combination, and it really slowed me down in a lot of ways. And so my challenge today, you know, there's a challenge, and I'm also very excited. The challenge is that I'm trying to impart really three things to help you leapfrog over some of the challenges that I had when I first got into business and became a professional. And then the challenge I have is that I'm doing this in 15 minutes time. So let's go ahead and get started. What you really need, no matter what you decide to do, if you're going to be a business owner or if you're going to work within a large company as a business professional, there's really one thing we all need to do. And that's we all need to design a ritual launch pad. And what I mean by that is whenever a space shuttle goes up into space, 75 to 80% roughly of the weight of that spaceship is to launch it into orbit. Okay, the gas and those tanks that fall off when it reach orbit, they get it there. Well, if you think about it, whenever you get up into orbit, if you want to use the parallel for our own lives, that's really when you're at peak productivity, right? That's whenever you are just firing on all cylinders and you feel your very best. Now, whenever you go into classes in the morning, you may notice, for those of you who have morning classes, that some people have not quite gotten off the launch pad. And my guess is that that person has probably been you from time to time. And so there are things that we can do that set up a ritual, and rather than me just telling you something that you should do and not doing it myself, these are things that I do in my own life. The reason I said in the title that these are three things that we need to own as professionals is because we all know that there's a big difference between me telling you something and you getting it intellectually and me telling you something and you owning it here. Does that make sense? Anybody? Raise your hand if you agree with that. Awesome interaction. Thank you guys. So rather than just say, I got it, some of this stuff will be stuff that you have heard before. Some of it won't be. But the litmus test for the things that we're going to discuss are these things that you're doing on a regular or daily basis. So first we must design a ritual launch pad, and there's really three steps to this ritual launch pad. The first is really just to be working out or getting physically active. And you've probably heard before that we need to be in a peak physical state to get the most out of our minds, right? Movement gets the synapses firing, it gets oxygen to the blood, it stretches out, and relieves tension in muscles. Just that working out does that. Now, I can say work out, and some of you probably work out now. I don't know how many of you all work out first thing in the morning, especially with this crazy schedule that you have with classes and different things like that. But let me tell you, and it's what I do every morning. Well, let me tell you this first. You guys are in an amazing situation where this culture that you're in right now in college, you will probably never be in a culture that is so social for the rest of your life. A few of you might, but for the most part, this is the most culturally social that you will be in your life. Now, how can you leverage that, or how can you benefit from that? The way you benefit from it is have accountability for almost everything. I heard a speaker once say, I believe it was Michael Hyatt, he said that nothing really good that really pushes you forward in this life gets done unless there's more than one person involved in that decision to move forward. That's a pretty crazy statement, but in my own life, I really see it to be true. So every morning, I have an accountability partner. He comes over. We have a room that we work out in, which you don't have to have that. I mean, you can just go running with someone, but it really helps us to get us firing on all cylinders, and it's something that our bodies and minds just really need whenever we get out into the business world. The second part of this is very simple. It's hydrate. That's not a breakthrough thought, but let me tell you this. What they're finding to be most true right now is that if you want to be in peak performance and you want your brain to have as much fluid as it really needs to be firing its best, you need to drink your body weight in ounces of water in a day. Now, if you calculate that, for some of you that might not seem like much. For some of you, that is a ton of water. There's a book, it's by Dr. B. They call him Dr. Batman for short. It's a really long last name, but it's called The Body's Many Cries for Water. And in this book, it's really a book on the amazing power of what water does to our bodies. It's such a simple thing that we all have access to, but to super hydrate like that, just that very act of lifting and taking that drink can make a huge difference in your performance or productivity. And then number 3 is really to be grateful. Now, myself as a Christian, I'm grateful to God. You really need to think about the things that you're most grateful for in this world, because here's the thing. If you're someone, and I can kind of believe that you probably are if you're in this class, who's a peak performer or someone who's really a high achiever who wants to achieve a lot, it's very easy for me to look at the achievement, right? To look at the next thing and not look at all of the things that I have in my life. It's very hard to be grateful when you're only looking at the next thing, and that can be very poisonous. And so again, first thing in the morning, I have this focused time where I think of the things that I am most grateful for. So that's really the first thing. It seems very simple, but again, the litmus test is, are these things that you're doing in your life? Number 2 is to realize that you can't have it all. I'm so glad you came to this motivational talk today. Realizing you can't have it all is not the same thing as can you do anything. You can do anything that you want to do. I totally believe that. If you have enough passion and you fight hard enough, you can have anything you want, but you can't have it all. There's a great book called Essentialism. Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. And it's written by Greg McKeown. I want to challenge everybody to read this book. The idea is figuring out or honing in on what is most important in your life, what you were put here to do, what your purpose is, and slowly getting everything else out. Part of that is learning to say the word no, which is very hard for most people to say, especially if you have a heart for people and you want to help people. So learn to say no, but we really have to decide that we can't have it all. And the way I do this, I have what's called the 7 F's. For me, these are faith, family, friends, fitness, finance, fulfilling career, and fun. Okay, basically if you break any life down, there are 7 common denominators that we all share. And for me, in terms of importance, that's the priority. Now, rather than me just telling you something and you saying, hey, that guy was awesome and a great speaker and I love him, whenever you leave here, You can say, I'm going to do something and I'm going to take action towards doing this. So you can use those 7 F's and you can decide what are the most important things in my life. And then you decide, which is the second part of this, what your ultimate outcome is for each one of these areas, right? You know, you think about your faith, you think about your family, you think about your friends, you think about what fitness goals you have, you think about what you want your career to be like, the next step moving forward. And you decide what you want at the end of your life, what you want the ultimate outcome to be for each one of these areas. When you get all this done, the rest is excess. And we do in this American culture tend to think that whatever we want, we can have it all. And achievers in this culture really get big eyes. And we try to do so many things. And here's really the third part, is that when you start to become successful, when you really start to become successful in the business world, guess what? People notice success and they start looking at you and saying, hey, this is a responsible guy or girl and they're capable of doing a lot. So, hey, I've got a great opportunity for you. And hey, get this, I've got a great opportunity for you. And they start coming at you. And one of the big parts of this book is that it's people's success that many, many times become their undoing. Because the one thing that they had major focus on that got them where they wanted to be, the success from that caused these people to do a bunch of other things, right? They forgot what the formula was for their original success. So we can't have it all. You have to decide what's really most important in this life, and you really have to move in that direction. Don't let your success, when you ultimately become successful, derail you and keep you from continuing to move forward. So this last one, this idea of proactivation, and I'll explain what that is. Really, the number one thing that destroys us is procrastination. In my own life, I have been a very big procrastinator in the past. And it's the things that I just don't want to do that I will put off. And there actually is a formula for curing procrastination, and it's not a magic bullet, meaning you can't just do one thing and you no longer procrastinate, right? It's kind of a lifelong thing. But this thing that you do, it's like working a muscle. Whenever I was in junior high or middle school, as you would say here in Missouri, I was one of the smallest guys in my class. I was a tiny guy. And one of my buddies got this idea that we should all start going and working out together. And so we made this decision and we started doing that, and I started to notice that as I lifted weights, that I noticed that my muscles started to get bigger and I really liked what I saw. Well, when it comes to procrastination, we really have two parts of the brain, okay? Any psychology students in here? Okay, we have one psychology student, thank you. So with psychology, and if you've gone through this yet, we know that we have the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, okay? And it's really easy for me to demonstrate that without hair. We have the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, and the prefrontal cortex says that I'm going to get things done even though they're difficult. But the problem is we're in a constant battle because the amygdala is the part of the brain. It's the really primitive part of the brain that if you saw like a wild animal in the African jungle, you wouldn't think, you would just go. Okay, that's what the amygdala is for. And so there's this constant battle. It's really a war going on between both, okay? The amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. So just like working out, that builds that muscle, really doing things that we would normally procrastinate, even small things, help to build up that muscle, so to speak. And that helps to fight the amygdala. So we have what's called a proactivation workout. Now you might say, well, that sounds great. You're telling me don't procrastinate, so I won't procrastinate. That doesn't really help me any. Well, you don't take the big hairy thing, right, that you really don't want to do and say, okay, now I'm going to do this. On a daily basis, you take one thing that is just outside of your comfort zone. When you look at your list of to-dos and you look at the things that you need to do and you say, I'm going to do this thing today. And just like working out, it continues to build that prefrontal cortex to where the amygdala has very little power over it. And let me tell you, whenever the big things come in life, whenever the really difficult things come in life that you don't really want to do, this building up of that muscle will really help you to see it through, because it's like something that's already in your toolkit, right? It's already in your pocket. You've already prepared yourself. Michael Jordan, best athlete of all time. If anybody thinks LeBron is anywhere near him, we can talk after class. Best athlete of all time. This guy would destroy teammates during practices. He was relentless. He made Horace Grant cry, okay? He would make guys cry. And they would ask him, why do you practice so hard? And he says, because if I practice harder in games than I actually have to play in the games, then the games are like practice. Okay, that makes sense in some way, right? So whenever we build up this prefrontal cortex, when the challenges come, and they definitely will, right? We're already prepared. We've already prepared for the large challenges of life. That's really simply what they are. I am absolutely out of time. That was super fast. My goal was just to serve, and I hope that I have done so. I hope I've helped each of you just a little bit to really prepare you for the business world, and I look forward to hopefully hearing of your success. Thank you guys very much. Did you like this video? Would you like to make sure that you apply it to your daily life? If so, go to stonevlog.com, click Blueprints, and download the blueprint for this video so you can really apply it. It's going to give you really the meat of what was discussed here today, and then it's more importantly going to give you your 7-day challenge. This is the part that really makes this applicable and makes you a doer more than just a hearer. So go check it out. That will also subscribe you so you receive these videos in your inbox every week so that you can continue to grow, continue to have deeper purpose and higher productivity, and become more. Thanks so much. Have a great day.